What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL video. And in this video, I'm going to give you my 5 Super Bowl contenders for Super Bowl 54. The 5 teams that I believe can win Super Bowl 54 in the 2020 NFL playoffs. I'm sorry, but if your team is not on this list of 5 contenders, that means that they're not winning the Super Bowl. They're not winning Super Bowl 54 because I guarantee that the Super Bowl champion will be from this list of the 5 Super Bowl contenders. In other words, this is a list of the teams that I believe can win Super Bowl 54. Before I dive into my list of my 5 top Super Bowl 54 contenders, make sure that you do spike the like button and subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this. Also, comment below your opinion. What do you think of my list? Do you like who I have at number 1? Maybe I'm a little bit low on a team, or maybe you disagree and there's a team that is not even in the top 5 that you believe belongs in the top 5. Let me know in the comment section below. At number 5 on my top 5 contenders for Super Bowl 54, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are currently 9-4. They are most likely going to be the 3rd seed in the AFC. Reason number 1 the Chiefs are a contender is because of their explosive offense. It all starts with Patrick Mahomes, the best arm in the NFL. His ability to extend plays, make plays outside of the Chiefs' scheme is truly special. You couple that with a weapons selection that is next level, the best in the NFL. The fastest player in all of football, a top 5 receiver, Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce, a crafty top 3 tight end, one of the better route runners in the league with a playoff pedigree. Mecole Hardman, an electrifying rookie speedster. So that's 2 track speed wide receivers. Sammy Watkins, a nice little complement to those receivers as well. And sneaking under the radar is the veteran Shady McCoy, who I believe they are saving for the playoffs. This offense has a pretty good offensive line, 3rd in adjusted sack rate. They rank top 6 in every important category, and they are the most explosive offense that can keep the Chiefs and win the Chiefs any game versus any opponent. Second reason, they have an experienced coaching staff that starts at the top with Andy Reid. Reid has coached in a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to coach in that bye week. He has coached in an NFC and AFC championship game. You add on Steve Spagnuolo, who's really brought a ton to this defense, gotten the best out of this Kansas City defense. Spagnuolo has won 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator versus a rival of the Chiefs, the New England Patriots. He is a veteran of the NFL. And then the third reason is they have an improved defense. Thanks to Spagnuolo, that secondary is much improved. They are 12th in pass defense. They are 8th in adjusted sack rate. They couple a really underrated secondary thanks to Tyrann Mathieu, Kendall Fuller, Claiborne, with an explosive duo of pass rushers. Frank Clark, who they traded from Seattle, and then Chris Jones, who is a force and can take over a game defensively. So they have an improved secondary. They are experienced in inclement weather. They play in Kansas City where it snows. It's really cold. Mahomes knows what it takes to win those type of games and play in those type of games. He can also whistle the ball through the wind, through the snow, through the cold. That makes the Chiefs that much more dangerous because they can travel if they need to New England and play there, to Baltimore and play there because they're experienced in that type of weather. They have a good special teams unit that can flip the field position with really electrifying returners and a great kicker in Butker, who is consistent as they come. They have a motivation that I think is extra special and only second to the Saints. Their motivation of losing in the AFC Championship game in overtime when they never got the coin toss is a story that they could tell and motivate themselves through this playoff run. So they have the motivation. The weaknesses or concerns for the Kansas City Chiefs is their run offense and their run defense. They've been taken advantage of in terms of their run defense. Teams have really exposed them when teams have just powered the football versus Kansas City. Their rush offense needs to be better for them to balance out their offense, because good defenses and good teams, when they know you're going to pass a lot, they can take away the pass, even a passing game as explosive as Kansas City's. So by adding the dimension of a rushing attack, it becomes that much more difficult to handle. Those are the two things that I'm concerned about, but ultimately they land at number 5 on my contenders list. My number 4 contender for Super Bowl 54 is the New Orleans Saints. Saints are currently second in the NFC. They are 10-3 and are most likely to have a bye and the second seed in the NFC. Reason number 1, the Saints are a contender this season. Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Experience, intelligence, craftiness, resourcefulness. This is basically encompasses what Sean Payton and Drew Brees are all about. Drew Brees knows what it takes to win in a shootout, especially when it comes to being in the Superdome. Sean Payton is arguably the best play caller in all of football, who went toe-to-toe with Kyle Shanahan in a game just last week, which was phenomenal. And he can put together a scheme and a game plan versus any defense and take advantage of that defense. So reason number 1, Sean Payton, Drew Brees. Elite talent on offense and defense. Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan, Michael Thomas. Doesn't matter what position, Saints likely have an elite playmaker. And really, the playoffs often comes down to, can your player outdo the other player? Can they win their individual matchup? A lot of the playoffs comes down to matchups. And the Saints, with their elite players, can win those matchups. The Superdome, it's arguably the best home field in the league. It's the loudest, and as kids say today, it's loud AF. The Saints have an incredible home field because it's so loud. It's just an incredible environment. And obviously Drew Brees and that offense feed off of that environment, as well as the defense. So even one home game is a big advantage and going a long way for the Saints to win the Super Bowl. Offensive line and defensive line. The Saints' offensive line, coupled with a really good defensive line, is arguably the best in football when you put them together for any team in the league. They are 4th offensive line in terms of adjusted sack rate. They are 1st in adjusted line yards, which means they create the most yards in the run game, and they are 4th in terms of keeping opposing pass rushers off their quarterback. Defensive line-wise, they're 7th in adjusted sack rate, so they can get after the quarterback with a guy like Cameron Jordan, who I brought up, or Davenport. They have a good pass rush, a good enough one, especially when it comes to being in the Superdome. So their offensive line and defensive line, it kind of creates this mystique to their football team. They are tougher than you realize. They are a dome team in the traditional sense, but they are tougher than most dome teams because they have a strong offensive line. They have a strong defensive line. They're not just a bunch of playmakers or skill players. They are tough. They are physical, and that starts up front. They have no major weaknesses. I think if we look and we say that, hey, the Saints won the Super Bowl this year, why? Well, maybe because they have no real weakness that really sticks out to you. I mean, they've had areas in games where one area of their team didn't play quite as good as it should, but nothing sticks out on a consistent basis for me to say, hey, the Saints suck in this area on offense, or they're awful in this area on defense. It really just doesn't exist. And the competition played for the Saints has been pretty strong. They beat Houston, they beat Seattle in Seattle, and they played San Francisco down to the wire at home. So the Saints have been tested. The Saints have played good teams fairly closely or have come out on top. The weaknesses or concerns with the Saints as my number 4 contender, if they go on the road and it's inclement weather, I do become concerned because Drew Brees is not quite the same quarterback in those conditions. So that is my concern for the Saints. My number 3 contender for the Super Bowl this season is the Super Bowl champions, the reigning Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots. The Patriots are currently 10-3. They are most likely going to be the 2nd seed in the AFC. The number 1 reason the Patriots are a contender is because they have the best defense in all of football. As I said in my criteria, you need to do something elite. And the Patriots are elite on defense. That starts with their incredible secondary, which is able to match up with any opposing passing attack. A linebacking group that's very versatile. They can rush the passer. They can cover. They can stop the run with Hightower, Van Noy, Jamie Collins. This is a great group of linebackers that doesn't get enough recognition. This defense is first in the NFL in DVOA, which accounts for your schedule, so don't give me that. Best pass defense, sixth best rush defense, first on third down, allowing the least amount of plays to be ran against them, the least amount of time of possession. So the more this defense gets the ball to the offense, the bigger chance that the Patriots have to win. They're very opportunistic. They've caused the second most turnovers and the most interceptions. And this defense, if the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl, needs to be elite. It needs to be very, very good and steal games. And they are capable of doing so. That's why they're a Super Bowl contender, reason number one. Reason number two, they couple a very strong defense with great coaching. Bill Belichick on defense and McDaniels on offense. Is there a better duo? I say no, sirree. No better duo in the NFL at coaching. Belichick and McDaniels. They prepare their teams in game planning better than any other team. And the big thing I want to hit on here is they are never out of a game because of the way they adjust during the game. They are never out of a game. When's the last time you saw the Patriots blown out in the playoffs? I'll give you a second here. All right. The only time I really remember was the Ravens in 2009. That's how long ago I have to go back into my memory bank to remember a game where they were blown out. The Patriots are in every game because they adjust to their opponent and they have game specific schemes, and they prepare better than just about anybody. Experience, and that starts from coaching staff, to their quarterback, who's experienced more than anybody. He's 42 and he's won 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady. Their roster. You can name more players on the Patriots that have won 2 Super Bowls than have played in 0. So the Patriots are more experienced. They know what it takes to win the Super Bowl. They know the Super Bowl bye week routine. They know the bye week routine. They know what it takes to win on the road. They know what it takes to win at home. They are experienced more so than any playoff team. In the AFC, in the NFC, it doesn't matter. Inclement weather. There's no team better in inclement weather than the Patriots. They've won a lot of games this year in inclement weather at home. And Tom Brady is the best inclement weather quarterback in NFL history. Inclement weather, bad weather, snow, rain, wind, doesn't matter. Patriots are likely to win those games. Julian Edelman is a big reason. He's the second greatest playoff receiver of all time. Look up the stats, sir. Special teams. The Patriots have 5% of punts blocked this season, which is first by far in the NFL. That's an incredible stat. Their special teams has great talent from Matt Slater to Brandon Bolden. All of these guys they're on the roster just to play special teams, and they are incredible Pro Bowl type players at it. They are such a good special teams in coverage and their scheme and their preparation, and their one play that could change a game. Their special teams is special. And their weaknesses, their concerns. What is a concern for the Patriots? It's obviously their offense. They don't have dynamic enough playmakers. Their offensive line needs to play better. If their offense is not at least average, I don't care how good this defense is, it might not be enough to win a Super Bowl. You know, they could lose in the first game if their defense doesn't live up to the hype and their offense plays awful. But if their offense plays good or even just pretty good, then they can win the Super Bowl. So it's a dynamic range of contenderness from the Patriots this season. That's why they rank in the middle of the list at number 3. At number 2, I have the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are currently 11-2. They're most likely the first seed in the NFC this season. They have no real weaknesses. That's reason number 1. Just like the Saints, you look at the 49ers, you say, yeah, you know, I don't think they're bad anywhere, right? Second in points offensively. 4th in yards offensively, 3rd on third down. You look at their defense, even better, 3rd in points, 2nd in yards, 2nd on third down. Their DVOA from a defensive perspective, 2nd in pass defense. Run defense is 9th. Offensively, 9th in passing, 14th in rushing. And we all know that their rushing offense is awesome. So they are not bad or suck in any area, which means that they are not going to be taken advantage of in any area either. They're third in points per drive on offense, third in points per drive on defense. They're a very well-balanced team. Complementary football wins you championships. Impressive wins. The 49ers have destroyed the Packers. They have beaten the Saints on the road, and they've almost beaten Baltimore on the road. The Saints were a team that I said had impressive wins. Well, the 49ers take that to the next level. Jimmy G is evolving before our eyes. Is there a quarterback that's played better over this last stretch of games than Jimmy G? He has 3-4 touchdown games, right, in the last 6 games, and he has 16 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions since week 9. Jimmy G is playing better than anybody not named Lamar Jackson right now, and that can go a long way to winning a Super Bowl. Coaching, Kyle Shanahan. He's arguably the best offensive coach in football, if you didn't know. Incredible play caller, and outplay called Sean Payton in New Orleans. Who does that? Nobody. Robert Saleh, he is infectious. His defense plays just like he coaches and motivates. Defensive line and offensive line. Tough, physical, dynamic. They are first in adjusted sack rate on defense. They are 8th on the offensive line. They're good at run blocking. They're pretty solid at pass blocking, and we know what their pass rush can do. They can take over games and win them games single-handedly with Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner and Dee Ford. Those guys get after quarterbacks. Veteran leadership is an underrated aspect of the 49ers. From Richard Sherman to Staley to Juszczyk to Sanders. This is a team full of veteran players that have been to the playoffs and know what it's like and can pass that along. Even Jimmy Garoppolo, even though he hasn't played in those games, he's prepared and he's been on those teams. And he's seen Tom Brady prepare, which is big. Explosive ability, just like the Chiefs. The 49ers are a very fast team. From their defense, with their linebackers and their pass rush and the way they play, which is physical and hard and fast, to their offense with their running backs, Mostert, Breida, Coleman, Kittle at tight end, Sanders, Samuel, Pettis, Bourne. All of these guys are fast. All of these guys, when they get the ball in their hands, they're difficult to take down in space. The 49ers challenge you because of their explosive ability. Their weaknesses or concerns for the 49ers. The biggest one I have is, are their injuries going to be a lot to overcome? They're starting to compile for the 49ers. This is really the only issue I have with the 49ers. The other one maybe is their defense a little overrated? I don't think so personally, but you could definitely look at the Saints game or a couple games this year versus maybe the Cardinals where you say, maybe they're not quite as elite as we think, but the injuries are the true concern for me. Can they stay healthy? Because any team that is on IR cannot win the Super Bowl. The number 1 contender to win Super Bowl 54, the team that I believe should be the favorite, is the Baltimore Ravens. You guessed it. Reason number 1, the Baltimore Ravens are the Super Bowl favorite. Action Jackson, the MVP, Lamar Jackson, number 8. Lamar Jackson allows the Ravens to be such a dynamic offense. It's the only offense like it in the NFL. The way they run the football, the way they pass the football, their multiple tight end sets, the way they utilize their running backs, their receivers. And Lamar Jackson is the special sauce for it all. He is a playmaker unlike any other playmaker in the NFL. He's the best playmaker in the NFL, whether that's passing or running. He is the MVP. He is playing at a level that can carry a team to a Super Bowl. He is playing at a level that we've not seen many times in the course of NFL history, right? This allows this offense to be high octane. It's difficult to handle. It's the best offense statistically in the NFL. According to DVOA, it's second in passing, first in rushing. It doesn't get much better than that. Lamar Jackson is reason number 1. The Ravens are the favorite for me to win the Super Bowl. Reason number 2 is their pass defense. It starts with their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, who's one of the best in football. His schemes, his game-by-game specifics, his blitz packages are very unique. You add in the corner depth they have with Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Carr, Jimmy Smith, and then the safeties. You have Earl Thomas, of course, the legend, and then Clark, This is a dynamic secondary who can match up man-to-man. They can play zone. They can do a lot of different things, and they have big, long bodies that can take on physical receivers. They have quick guys that can take on quick receivers, and they have speedy guys that can take on fast receivers. They have a very well-built, thought-out secondary that is one of the better ones in football. I would say it's top 3 in football, and they are the 3rd best pass defense in football. They are 4th defense according to DVOA. That starts with their coordinator and really is coupled by a fantastic group of corners. And then John Harbaugh, who is a Super Bowl winning head coach. I don't trust many other head coaches in football more than I trust John Harbaugh in a big game situation. It's really the only coach in the NFL that has maybe had the number of Belichick, or at least has given him a lot of issues, right? John Harbaugh is one of the better coaches in football. He's arguably the coach of the year this year. So I trust him a ton, and that's what makes also the Ravens a big-time Super Bowl contender. Justin Tucker. Is there a kicker I trust more in a clutch situation than Justin Tucker today? No. 49 yards for the Super Bowl win? Give me Justin Tucker. Extra point? Give me Justin Tucker. 63 yards? Give me Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker's the best kicker, and Justin Tucker could be the difference in a big game in the playoffs. Home field advantage. Very underrated in Baltimore, but the Ravens will have it. They're 6-1 at home this year so far. And I believe that that could be the difference over a team like Kansas City or New England in the AFC. And that could help them get to the Super Bowl. It's loud, it's intimidating in Baltimore. And of course, they can feed off of the energy of Lamar Jackson. They are battle tested, more so than any other team. They beat New England. They beat San Francisco. Right? They beat Seattle. They beat Buffalo. They beat the Rams. They beat Houston. They beat Pittsburgh. The Ravens have faced just about everybody they want to face. And they beat them. The only weaknesses or concern is really what happens when Lamar Jackson and the Ravens play those teams for the second time. We've not really seen that. The only time we've seen that is the Chargers in the playoffs last year, and that didn't really go well. And I understand it's a different team. I'm just bringing it up, right? What happens when they play Belichick the second time? What happens when they play Andy Reid and the Chiefs the second time? What happens when they play the Texans or the Steelers for the 3rd time? You know, you never know, right? So, and you can't win every game versus an opponent. Eventually, a team is going to beat you. So, that is concerning a little bit because they've seen all of these teams, and also they have seen you, which the surprise and the dynamic effect of their offense is now taken away a little bit because you can prepare for it a little bit better. And the second thing I have for a concern for Baltimore is if they really are down in a game, can they come back? Rarely this season we've seen Baltimore in a situation where they were put in a hole and they had to come back. Those are the 2 concerns I have for Baltimore, but ultimately they are my number 1 contender and my Super Bowl favorite to win it all with the MVP of football. Let me know in the comment section below who you guys have as your top 5 Super Bowl contenders for Super Bowl 54 and the 2020 playoffs.